Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a best of 3 series of professional StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Protoss versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Death Aura. Spawning here in the bottom right hand corner of the map, playing with the blue Protoss probes from South Korea, we have one of the highest ranked Protoss players in the world, and he goes by the name of Trap. If you've been watching my YouTube videos over the last couple of months, you probably know by now that Trap is one of the very best Protosses in the world. Once upon a time, we could kind of critique his Protoss versus Zerg. It wasn't nearly as good as, for example, his PvT, but these days, honestly, the guy is one of the very best. And in my opinion, it's probably a toss-up between him. Actually, a toss-up. Wow! Unintentional pun there. Anyways, when it comes to like highest ranked Protoss player in the world, it's probably a toss-up between either him or Stats currently. Both of them are looking very, very, very good. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the red Zerg drones. No disrespect to him whatsoever, but he's always sort of played right below that tippity top of the skill level. And that's the reason why I haven't covered as many of his games on the YouTube channel as I maybe should have. But we're looking at none other than Armani's main hatchery. Now, over the last couple of months, Armani has been on fire. I guess he has seen the light, because in the most recent GSO Code S, spoiler alert I suppose, in case you still want to watch the VODs, he ended up making it to the semi-finals, where he ultimately ended up going down against Maru in a 4-2 series. However, while making it to the semi-finals, he took down SOS, he took down Cure, Dream, Zone, and most importantly in the quarterfinals, he also beat Zest in a 3-2 series. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you were to ask most people in any of those series, they would probably favor the opponent. Armani certainly has been playing very impressive StarCraft. He's been playing very impressive StarCraft, and especially in the series that he played against Zest, I was super impressed. So he didn't end up winning any of those games with any tricks, or well, he cheesed every once in a while, but he mostly just played straightforward macro games, and I mean, he just played better than Zest. I think most people would probably guess that Zest would win in a best of 5 series against Armani, but apparently, at the very least that day, it was not meant to be. Anyway, here we go. Let us have a look at what the Protoss player has got in store for us here. So already, it looks like there's a little bit of tricksiness. Generally speaking, I think this is going to be a Stargate opener, right? Yeah, it is a Stargate opener. So generally speaking, there's already a little bit of a mind game being played here. Let me try and explain it real quick. So generally speaking, this Overlord, it serves a couple of functions. First off, it needs to see what kind of gateway unit comes out of that very first gateway right away, right? Which gateway unit the Protoss player is going to go for first. However, it's also staring at that cybernetic score to see when it finishes, if it starts researching something right away. In this particular case, it did start researching right away, which most of the time indicates that it's going to be a Twilight or a Robo opener. So the Twilight Council and the Robo Bay, or the Robo Facility rather, are both 100 gas each. However, a Stargate is 150 gas, meaning that if you normally want to go for a Stargate opener, you actually go for the Warp Gate upgrade after the Stargate. In this particular case, Trap decided to start up the Warp Gate upgrade, knowing that his opponent knows, and then he still decided to go for a Stargate, which now, technically speaking, is a little bit inefficient. That means that this Oracle is gonna arrive a little bit later, but there is a chance that the Zerg player is not gonna be ready to defend against that Oracle. Well, there's another Queen already starting up, Spore Crawler coming up in the main base. I mean, he doesn't know at this point, Armani that is, but, you know, he wasn't born yesterday. It's one of those tricks that especially works well, I would say, in like high diamond, Master 3, Master 2 or so, where a lot of Zerg players will start trying to cut those corners, you know, where they won't go for the Spore Crawler every single time. Anyways, a couple of Zerglings here are available. Oracle is also available. I mean, yeah, I guess this is one way to defend your mineral line. Just attack a couple of Adepts with Zerglings, and then the Oracle will activate the prismatic, or rather the pulsar beam there. On the Zerglings instead. Anyway, it's gonna be 3 Queens over at the 3rd base. Spore Crawler in the natural. This really shouldn't get a whole lot done. Alrighty, so what's the follow-up going to be here from Trap? Looks like he's just looking to grab a 3rd base. He's got double Oracle. So these 2 Oracles are very good, obviously, harassment, but also very helpful when it comes to defending a 3rd base, especially against a Zergling-based opener, which it looks like it's going to be here for at least a little while. Yeah, maybe a couple drones. Yeah, not bad. 4 drones here. Ugh, keeps the Oracle alive as well. That one now has 8 kills. Obviously, a couple of those kills are Zerglings. Look at Brenda over here trying to shoot the final spine, but I think that these guys are probably going to be able to recall on out of there relatively easily. So good start right here for the Protoss player, already getting some very efficient trades. A Zergling will confirm that indeed the third Nexus has just been started up here. Maybe it's going to be able to get the kill right there on the probe as well. Let's see though what Trap is doing. So he's got... That's 5 gateways right now. A little bit of an odd number. Looks like actually the 2 Adepts decided to shade into the main base. They grabbed a couple of drones there as well. And they scouted the timing there of the lair. That's about a 5-minute lair. Rotorn a little bit earlier. Yeah, okay. So once again, there's a bit of a mind game here being played. I don't think that this is actually a macro-based opener from Trap at all. So first off, he delays the Stargate. Yeah, he delays the Stargate. And now he's adding on up to 7 gateways here. On... I guess technically 3 Nexi, but he only has probes for 2 bases. So this kind of looks to me like a 2-base all-in, but with a 3rd Nexus. So these are some very inefficient build orders. And the reason why they may very well work is because of the fact that Armani knows that his opponent, you know, is playing a macro game, or at the very least that's what it looks like. But it turns out that's really not happening. So let's see. Armani didn't really over-drone though. He's currently sitting at 52 workers, which really isn't that crazy. There's a couple of spine crawlers over here as well. But he doesn't really have that many attacking units, right? They're only just now popping out of the larva here, so... Cheeky little play right here by Trap. Purposefully playing something that's a little inefficient just to try and blindside his opponent. I like it. A little bit of cheekiness to start off the series. You know what? I think that might just be a little bit too much Protoss. I mean, Zerg obviously is going to be able to reinforce this non-stop. This is only a single Immortal in his unit composition, so it's really not even that much. Actually, hold that thought. We do have the Spine Crawlers now finishing up as well, but I mean, those force fields have been absolutely phenomenal. Great micro there as well. Stepping at the final possible moment as well, making sure he gets ultimately the most firepower out of his troops as he possibly can. And those Stalkers, I mean, most of them are still alive. Armani is bleeding out lots of units. Unless he can, like, once again, nice stepping out of the balls there. Yeah, unless somehow, some way he gets the ultimate wraparound. If you're bleeding out units like that, it's never really a good position for the Zerg. At this point, drones are being pulled as well. Trap has added on a couple of probes as well, so he's mining a little bit over at the 3rd base on his side of the map too, and I've got a feeling that this is pretty much going to be all she wrote right here for the Zerg. Even if he can stabilize, Protoss is still going to be so far ahead, right? I mean, maybe he can hold. That Immortal, man. That Immortal, yeah. It's got 11 kills, and most of those are roaches. There we go. Game number 1 goes in favor of Trap. Alrighty, so here we go. Game number 2, we find ourselves on a Lightshade. Now, as someone who's reasonably good at Zerg, I've been playing this game for a long time and I've made it to a decent level. I can tell you that playing against that strategy that Trap just played is an absolute disaster. So you try and scout to the best of your abilities what's going on, right? You scout with that first Overlord, you think, okay, it's gonna be a Twilight or a Robo Opener. Turns out it's a Stargate. You don't take that much damage from the Stargate anyway, but then you scout, okay, the follow-up is a quick 3rd base. And then all of a sudden, you notice that the Protoss army with sentries and an Immortal is moving across the center of the map, and you find yourself completely caught off guard. It's pretty cheeky. Now, speaking of cheekiness, hold up here. Is he gonna plant a hatchery right over here instead of his opponent's natural? I think that may very well be what we have in store right over here. Is Armani gonna expand first, though? Oh, actually. Huh? Okay, well. Not entirely sure what this hatchery is supposed to do over here. Generally speaking, if you see a proxy hatch, it's gonna go over here, or maybe over here. I guess this is in a location that Protoss really won't see for quite some time. This... Does it have to be a spine crawler push now? I'm not sure. Like, usually you either go spine crawlers or roaches and ravagers with this kind of thing if you really want to commit. Now, at this point, by the way, the Protoss player is feeling all smug. He scouted there, he knows he blocked his opponent's natural, he saw a drone moving on over to the 3rd base, so he assumes that this is a standard hatch gas pool. And I guess it is a hatch gas pool, but not quite a standard one, because the hatchery is on the other side. Yeah, I think this has to be a spine crawler. Spine crawler, queen. Couple units over here poking away at the front. I'm not entirely sure. Alright, so Probe is probably gonna leave here in just a little bit. Look at this, man. Trap is still feeling really smart inside of the main base, but he's actually completely unaware about what's actually going on. Couple additional drones now moving across, so this is certainly going to be a spine crawler push. I would love to see a queen over here as soon as possible as well, but I guess, yeah, you want to prioritize the queens. Or, sorry, the spines. There comes the queen as well. So you need a creep tumor, right? So Trap is gonna see this in just a little bit. I mean, there it is. You already scouted there with the little probe as well that there are no expansions anywhere. Is it maybe on the low ground over here? Nope. So at this point he knows that something's not quite right. Okay, Robo facility immediately started up. There's a forge now coming up and then also a backup pylon at the front. Now luckily for him, he didn't plant down the Nexus yet. I think if the Nexus was planted down, this probably would have been game over pretty much right away. Actually, no, he did cancel it. I was going to say, there should have been a Nexus already. I wasn't quite paying attention to that. So he did start up the Nexus, and I think he must have canceled it then. That's my bad. I was going to say, that timing doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. A couple of shield batteries inside of the main. He's trying to create a wall of right over here as well on the high ground. Forge is finishing up, but look at the Pokey Boys. Already going to town right there. That Warp Gate upgrade is never going to finish, and that's actually one of the most important upgrades right now for the Protoss player. Also, obviously, having that Warp Gate and the Gateway, or sorry, the Cyber Gate. Having the Cybernetics core up means that you can make Adepts and Sentries and Stalkers, this is what I was gonna say. So now you can only make Zealots, which really isn't anything to write home about. Immortals, I guess, are gonna be the name of the game. I mean, remember that style that Haas used to play, where you get, like, Immortals and then a Prism and stuff? Could you not do this, I guess? Oh my god, no! Really? That's out of range? I guess it would have not been out of range if the Adept was positioned right over there. That would have killed a lot more Zerglings. Anyways, I guess he could use a Prism and then 2 Immortals to, like, juggle units defensively just fine as well, right? I mean, keep in mind, this is still now 1 base versus 1 base. He really needs to start up a Prism, though. Anyway, eventually it looks like there will be an Expo right here on the side of the map of Armani. How much are you going to commit here? Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you really want to try and break the main base here, because that's just going to go wrong. So it's going to be a second Immortal first, but probably a Prism as a follow-up. This is actually kind of neat. Now, the question is, do you actually now walk these spines home? Because it's clear right now that Armani is giving up this position. He's just spreading creep. I think, indeed, moving these home makes a lot of sense. Because if you're not going to actually continue pushing here, which obviously the Protoss doesn't really know at this point. I mean, he might have figured it out right now that everything is, you know, nothing's happening anymore on his side of the map. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense that he is just, he's just gonna kill that hatchery and then maybe expand eventually. He needs an observer as well if he wants to clear out the creep. Now, in a weird way, this is now forcing Trap into a 1-base all-in, which is usually not something that you want to do. I mean, at the pro level, at the very least, that doesn't usually seem to work. So, even though this is not something we see that often in Protoss versus Zerg, I actually really like this position right now for Armani. Obviously, it helped, though, that Trap decided to leave that probe inside of the main base for so long. I never checked for an expansion there. I guess this is the downside of when you go for that super early probe scout. And then, you know, you try your best to go from there. Because, I mean, normally if you scout a little bit later with a probe, you would see the lack of expansion, right? So in this case, he sent the probe so early that he blocked that natural from going up. But it wasn't even a natural build that Armani was looking for here initially anyway. Either way, I guess we're now setting ourselves up for a Protoss player forced to go for a timing attack that he really didn't want to go for. Let's see if we can salvage the scenario. So Trap is going to go into that robotics bay, which means that he can build disruptors here and colossi. I can imagine in this case, since you don't really have the money to get extended thermal lance, and without it, colossi are kind of pointless. I can imagine this is going to be a disruptor follow-up? It makes the most sense. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Disruptor and a prism. I mean, there's some potential there. Look at those Zerglings, though. Just being a massive pain in the butt. While this is all going on, Armani is happily macroing on 2-base eco. I mean, this makes me wonder why we don't see builds like this more often. Really cool style right here by Armani. Huh. Cool. Now, this is also, though, where you can show greatness, right? This is, like, Protoss in particular is super build order dependent. Protoss doesn't really have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to their build orders. So this is where you can show how good you actually are if you are trapped, right? So if you're going to be able to wiggle yourself out of this position, you're going to be, you know, you're going to be a very impressive Protoss player. Anyhow, the thing is, Protoss at this point has to, like, think about so many different options for a Zerg follow-up, right? I mean, it's most likely going to be a Roach Ravager follow-up, but in the mind of a Protoss player, Mutas are always an option, right? Imagine if Mutas would be flying across the map right now. That would just be game over right away. Anyhow, Gravitic Drive is coming up, or it's actually already done, so that's the Prism Speed upgrade. There's even a Colossus now coming up as well, so I don't know exactly what Trap wants to do. I think he wants to go for, like, I don't know, an expansion here. Good Corrosive Balls there, kills a couple Zerglings, but well worth it. Nice pickup right there as well on that Prism, or on that Immortal on the Prism, I guess. Bring the Disruptor back towards the high ground, use it, there you go, to kill some of these bad boys. Ay, ay, ay. That's so close. If you pick it up, obviously the actual Purification Nova will be cancelled. It's not quite like a StarCraft 1 Reaver. Reaver in StarCraft 2 would be so broken. Like, for those of you unfamiliar, a Reaver is basically like a disruptor that you can activate and then pick up right away. So, like, you know, the attack will still go off. That's essentially the way you gotta look at it. It would make it a pretty powerful harassment unit in SC2. I guess you'd have to go Mutas against that. Anyhow, like, at this point, there's no anti-air, so luckily here for Trap, this is not a follow-up with, ooh, is he gonna be able to get the Colossus? Not a follow-up here, no cancel with Mutas. This is Armani telling the Protoss player here to get out. Now, he needs to be careful. Yeah, this is obviously an advantage here for the Zerg player, especially if you can get that Prism or something along those lines, but you don't really want to overdo it. Look at, by the way, that creep spread. It's going all over the map, back from the natural of the Protoss player in the direction of the Zerg's bases. Kind of crazy, we don't see that a whole lot. It's very difficult to stay on top of that creep spread, so impressive work right here by Armani in that regard as well. With the main base right now running out, though, usually that main base runs out at about 10 minutes. So this goes for all 3 races. A little bit of harassment right over here. No workers killed now. Yeah, he needs another base is what I'm trying to say. Like, he needs to decide if he wants to go for a 1 base all-in, which is probably not going to do too much. Or if he wants to go for, like, an expansion here. I don't know if I like the idea of an expansion very much either, so I'm not sure exactly what you're supposed to be doing here if you're a Protoss player. All of the scenarios kind of suck. I guess what you need is like a big disruptor hit, right? If you can catch these roaches and ravagers off creep and you can land like a big disruptor, there certainly is a chance you can still obtain the victory. Now, Spire is coming up. Maybe a couple Corruptors, and there you go. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, a couple Corruptors would not be bad. But I mean, once again, there's still no natural expansion. Probes are already long distance mining because only 4 mineral patches remain inside of the main base. I think that this is just like an elaborate, you know, 1 base all in that kind of looks like it's an expansion build from Trap. Well, I mean, I was critical of the Colossus earlier, but now it has 19 kills, so what do I know? Could have gotten killed so easily, though, earlier. I mean, without this Colossus here, this army would kind of suck. Alright, here we go. Armani, ready to engage this. Trap somehow, some way making a game out of this, which I guess shows already how good he is. Couple of Ravagers, though, coming in from the back as well. Corrosive Balls don't really land on too many things. Actually, hold up, is Trap doing this? No way. Oh my god, dude. Protoss units are so scary. Fantastic. Especially that Prism Micro, right? Like, it has so much potential. Look at that. Dodging those Corrosive Balls. Look at this. Oh my god, Trap. You're so dead in the water, but for some reason, there's still a game here. I mean, Zerg Reinforcement should clean this up, right? There come a couple of probes as well, apparently ready to join the fray. Oh my god. This is actually insane. Like, look at the supply counts. Trap has been doubled in supply for the majority of this match. And somehow, some way, this is still going on. 39 and 42 kills? What the? That's insane. Wow. Okay, so Prism, Immortal. Pretty good composition, huh? This is dirty, dude. Okay, so I really want to look at the units lost tab. I just want to see the efficiency here of 1 base Protoss. Okay, hold up. What are we looking at? Actually, it's not even that crazy. I mean, considering it's just like 1 base versus, I guess, 3 bases. This is, yeah, still some insane efficiency. But those 2 Immortals, man. Oh my god. Okay, so this is just a second before GG is called. One Immortal has 42 kills. The other one has 45. At the 11-minute mark in 42 seconds. That's absolutely insane. So I guess that these Immortals are actually living up to their name. Because, I mean, last time I checked, they didn't die. Alrighty. So, here we go. It's time for the final map, which is going to be Pillars of Gold. Let's see what we can do. Now, once again, we have that cheeky probe moving across the map. This is kind of what bit Trap in the butt earlier. We'll see if he decides to play it a little bit differently this time around. So, obviously, what he's looking for is to block the expansion right here from the Zerg player. Although, ooh, would you look at that? All right. Armani has already decided to go for a spawning pool very early on into this game. So, once more, a little bit of a mind game being played. I like it. Let's see. Is he gonna send a drone to pretend to go for a natural expansion as well? That would be kind of neat. Yeah, there it is. Okay. There's acting in StarCraft too. Like, some people say that there is not. This is 100% acting. Look at this. This is Armani pretending to go for a natural expansion and then moving the drone over to the third base as well. And he's like, oh no, I want to take the natural instead. Please leave Mr. Probe. And oh no, he's coming after me. I guess I'll take... He's not even got the minerals. Someone give this man an Academy Award, okay? Look at this pro, or this drone rather. Look at that guy. Fantastic work right there. So, Zerglings are already coming up. Trap at this point realizes that something is not quite right. I love these stupid little mind games. Fantastic. So, it's 8 Zerglings. I think it will be an expo here as a follow-up. Oh, there we go. So, just a bunch of Zerglings. Double gateway right now instead, though, by Trap, which is important. If you decide to go for the Nexus instead, you're in a little bit of trouble. Didn't cancel anything this time around, so he should be able to go still for a Cybercore here to complete that wall off. Zealot obviously is going to be able to stand right over here in that little nuke, and that's going to create a full wall off. Let's see though if maybe the Zerglings can break through, right? So this is where Crisis Mode is going to be engaged for the Protoss player. Very annoying. Zerg players have a lot of different ways in which they can be aggressive, and this is obviously one of the more aggressive ones. The thing is, this is relatively low commitment, right? Okay, so he decides to pull a couple of probes. Ooh, Zerglings try and get into the main base, I suppose. I mean, this is... I think this is still fine, though, for the Zerg player. Like, getting this many kills is totally okay. So there comes an Adept, second Adept as well, so it's going to be 2 Zealots, or I guess 1 Zealot right now, and then 2 Adepts as a follow-up. How many probes is that? So that's 2 probes. Very respectable, considering that's 8 Zerglings plus a delayed, you know, Nexus. You might be able to get a couple more, actually. Wow. Yeah, well worth it once again right here for the Zerg player. Now, the real question is, how well is he going to be able to do against this follow-up? So, double Adept with 1 Zealot actually is not to be underestimated, especially because with this kind of build, you don't have Zergling speed, right? So, there's no gas or anything like that. Armani is going to have to defend with Queens and then a couple Zerglings at home. So, despite the fact that he got some value out of those first Zerglings and he got his expansion up unharmed, he's still behind when it comes to the worker count, and he doesn't really have any tech to speak of. So, Alrighty, so 3 different builds in 3 different games. I like it. Nexus does come up, so it's not like Trap is going to go all in with this. The option would have also been, obviously, to add on even more Adepts, but... yeah, that's quite a few Zerglings. Are they gonna go into the main base? No. Yeah, so 9 Zerglings, right? So, it looks right here, I know there's gonna be some Protoss players that look at this and like, oh my god, Zerg just defense as well. The problem is... that's what you sound like, by the way, when you comment those things. The thing is, right, he forced 10 Zerglings, and 10 Zerglings could have been 5 drones. So this is not quite the equivalent of killing 5 drones, but it's very good, because, I mean, Trap doesn't really, you know, have any risk going into the main base, assuming he doesn't get these units surrounded. I'm assuming, I don't know exactly, actually, when he last saw those gases, but he knows probably that this is not a quick gas follow-up. And he can basically just force the Zerg player to sit back. Okay. So nicely done here by the Protoss player, making the best of this very odd scenario. Now, don't like that too much, though. He put up a Dark Shrine right below the Overlord. I mean, the Overlord sees that there's nothing researching in the Twilight Council, so I guess, you know, you can put 1 and 1 together and assume it's going to be a Dark Shrine follow-up, but still not a huge fan of just giving that intel for free. These Adepts, by the way, I mean, they're still playing the minigame. The Shade with the Zergling minigame. It's like going to the arcade. There's lots of little minigames going on in SC2. Remember back in the day when you could go to arcades and stuff? Oh, like outside, you know? Outside the home base. where you could expand towards the arcade. These days, you're just stuck on your main base. Anyways, third Nexus is gonna come up as well. So one advantage, I guess, of Dark Templar, didn't really consider that just yet, is the fact that you can use them really, really nicely when it comes to, you know, defending a third base as well. So this is kind of clever, actually. Armani immediately started up the lair. He knows that there's gonna be DTs here very shortly, if the Protoss player wants them to be. He actually has no detection, so maybe he's calling the bluff. Is this a big brain play or a really small brain play? I haven't quite decided yet. So there's a spine crawler at the front, which I guess will create a full wall of, but DTs can easily kill that. Luckily here for the Zerg player, there's not really a whole lot of DT harassment. This is actually kind of crazy. So let me get this straight. He sees the Dark Shrine. Oh, it was actually cancelled. Okay. I'm assuming he didn't see the cancel, right? No, he did not. So there's some really clever mind games being played here. So he purposely put it below the Overlord or in the vision of the Overlord and then was cancelled. So now the Zerg player is forced to make detection. Anyways, I've got a feeling though, if he would have not cancelled the Dark Shrine, he would have been able to just get damage done because there's no detection over here at all. Some crazy games going on here. These are builds that you might not necessarily want to go for on the ladder, but they make a lot of sense at this level. Like, they're trying to, it's kind of like playing poker. They're trying to put each other on different hands, despite the fact that they have very limited information, right? They're trying to make the best of the information that they do have based off of previous experiences. So this is when Armani realizes, okay, wait a second. There's no Dark Shrine anywhere, it's just a bunch of additional gateways. Where'd they go? Turns out it was 2-7 offsuit all this time. Anyhow, Blink coming up here, additional gateways coming up as well, like I already said. So this is going to bring the grand total to, what is that, 5 gateways? Maybe a couple more here in a little bit. Some probes over at the third base. Go for a 3-base push. I like it. I like the idea a lot. Armani decided, because of that potential for the Dark Shrine, to go for a very, very late third base. So, you know, he's now long distance mining that expansion. I believe I brought up in the very first game today that I really like the way that ZVP currently plays out because of the Stargate changes and like the fact that we see a lot of Void Ray openers. There's a variety of openers in this game going on as well, but none of them have to do with Void Rays. Kind of funny, right? So, by the way, it's going to be a Forge as a follow-up. So I'm assuming it's not going to be a timing attack then here by Trap just yet. Maybe a little bit later, maybe when he finishes some more upgrades. Guess that's A-okay right here for Armani, who's going to happily spread that creep and finish droning the third base. +2/+2 coming up here as well. Roach speed is already done, so he could poke across the map for a little bit because not a lot of units are going to stop him, but I guess the circling there confirmed just a little bit ago that that really wasn't a good idea. You could always try and rain some biles, but anyways. So here's the changelings coming up. Very nice scouting here by Armani throughout this series, actually. Protoss always has a hard time doing so, but looks like Trap is making the best of it as well. He sees that there's drones in the gas geyser. You see the little wiggle. That means that there's mining going on. And you also, you know, obviously see the drones right there on those outer mineral patches. And that's really all you need to know, right? You know at this point that this is a fully saturated third base for the Zerg player. Just judging off of the amount of workers you see on those, you know, those tabs that you can't see. Second Robo is a follow-up. Robo Bay coming up as well. Alrighty. I think that Armani needs to kill these rocks. He's gonna need surface area here. Let's see. Spore Crawler, ooh, for some reason. Or sorry, Spore Crawler. Observer right there will get killed. For some reason it decided to siege up literally on top of an Overseer. And a couple of Queens. Trap decides to go back. Okay. It's a high level move there. I don't know. I feel like he could have gotten something done. So there's a Hydra then coming up. Hive coming up as well. So probably a follow-up into Lurkers and then Vipers. Or Vipers first, then Lurkers. Meanwhile, on the side of the Protoss player, looks like Trap is making that same assumption, as he's already adding on Disruptors here. No! No! Stop it! Trap! Cancel that! Thank you. Oh. Consciousness awakened indeed. That's what the Disruptor said when he spawned. Alright, so the Nexus was misplaced. Here comes the Swarm. Ready to apparently engage this. This doesn't look like a fight the Zerg player is going to be able to win, but I guess he may be able to cancel, yeah, that fourth base. Maybe it was a Nexus bait, okay? Maybe he purposefully misplaced it initially to trigger me, and then as the follow-up comes, he knew that he was gonna have to cancel it again anyway. Big brain place. Alright, anyways, there's gonna be a Lurker Den right now as a follow-up. Needs to get those Hydra Den upgrades as well if he wants to make use of those guys at some point. Vipers, Adrenal Glands. Alrighty. Adrenal Glands without any melee upgrades. That's kind of curious. So the most curious part here is how he's prioritizing his upgrades. I would have imagined +3 missile attacks or melee upgrades, but he actually goes Adrenal Glands first, Vipers next, and then I guess Lurker Den upgrades after this? Notice as well how he has no Hydras, right? So like he's got a Lurker Den but no Hydras. So I guess this is just like a long-term plan. Ugh. This is actually kind of a dire scenario right now though for the Zerg player. I mean, I'm looking at this Protoss army. This is very scary. It's a lot of Immortals in there and a couple Disruptors as well. Oh, well, it's 4 Disruptors and 3 Immortals, I guess, right? So maybe a couple is not the correct word. Anyways, looks like Stalkers will be warped in at home. A couple units here ready to defend as well. There comes the abductions. Nicely done. If you abduct a unit while it's doing its purification nova, it won't actually go off. Ugh. Still not a huge fan of that fight right there, though, for Armani. I mean, he made the best of it, but that was an awful lot of units that he ended up losing there. Couple Hydras are coming up right now. I guess reinforcing Zerg units should be able to defend this. That Adrenal Glands is going to finish very shortly. Seismic Spines is already done, which is so weird because only just now the first Hydras are actually coming up. Yeah, this is apparently the point where Trap smells blood in the water. He's forcing the evacuation right now of that base of Armani. A couple of drones apparently are now going to join in the fray instead. Nice abduct once again. Grabs one of those Disruptors once more. But I mean, there are so many Protoss units over here. The Queens decide to join in. Obviously, their transfusers are very, very powerful. But I've got a feeling that there is way too much Protoss at this point to push this back. I mean, maybe defensive units can Adrenal Glands is really good. Once again, good abduct, man. The Vipers have been absolute MVPs here. Beautiful harpooning right there by Armani. If he can, like, have a little bit of breathing room, right? If he can breathe for just a little bit, he can add on his Lurkers. So those are going to be well upgraded Lurkers as well. Seismic Spines basically means that they can just, you know, sit underground and defend a certain area really nicely, especially against this relatively low-tech Protoss army. Okay. There's the Adaptive Talons upgrade coming up as well. Couple Zerglings now over at the 4th base. Nice move once again here by the Zerg player. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is certainly a trap favorite game at this point, but Armani is making the best of it. Ugh, nice snipe there on that Viper though. That Viper died right away. Good control right there by Trap. Decides to blink on top of his army here. Okay, well, I don't think there's any detection. Yep, no detection here. Although a couple of Vipers. Ugh. Sloppy control right there by Armani. A couple of Vipers basically flying to their deaths. But this is good. Okay, having a couple of those Lurkers here into the mix is gonna, at the very least, stop the harassment for a second. I mean, there are a few Disruptors. They don't need detection. If you just, yep, send them at the source. That works. Beautifully done. Abduct. On the Colossus. There we go. Abduct is such a powerful spell. Haha. I mean, I feel like for every abduct, though, we've seen a Viper die. So it's really not like, you know, that phenomenal either. Keep in mind, these Stalkers are very mobile. They could even blink into the main base, which is, I think, what Armani was thinking there. Yep, and actually, ooh, I think Trap is thinking it right now. There we go. Ooh, I love that. So if you shift queue them, you can make them... Yep, that's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. So right now is going to be the point, apparently, where the Protoss player is going to be able to get into the main base of the Zerg. I mean... Ugh, when the Zerg is going through that choke point like that, right? And they don't have Lurkers ready on the high ground. This is a very rough scenario to be in. Still, though, I mean, units eventually burrow in powerful locations. Good pickup micro there once again on that Prism. Trying to get as many units out as possible. Apparently now is the time as well where the Zerg player is gonna be forced to defend the 3rd once again. But Armani still has... Oh, nicely done. Has a 1 Lurker over there on the low ground, preventing that push from continuing. So while this is all happening, right, we're talking 4 base Protoss versus, well, I guess right now a 4th hatchery for the Zerg, but This is the moment where Protoss is continuously gaining value, right? So they're trading more efficiently and they're getting more income. 1 and 1 is 2, last time I checked. I don't know though. I'm no math major. There could probably be an argument that 1 actually equals 2. Yeah, so nice moves right here by Trapman. Once again, forcing this Zerg player to not be able to expand, right? Or making sure that this Zerg player does not expand. I really like it. Big Zealot warping in the main base. Not so successful this time around, but... I mean, he's basically doing the Zerg thing where you try to bleed this this player out. Right? You just don't allow them to expand, so... He does see the hatchery over there, just barely. He checks over here, top left-hand corner, knows that that is, like, basically a last-ditch effort right there for Armani, right? Now, that said, there are a lot of lurkers. We're talking 8 lurkers and 3 Vipers. This is a scary Zerg army. It can hold for a long time. There's the Psionic Storm upgrade finally coming up. It's the first time we see it in the series, isn't it? That's kind of funny. Oh my god, look at that. A couple of Protoss units for some reason. 3 Immortals. Or 4 Immortals, rather. For some reason, in the middle of the map. I think that this is an army, though. Okay, yeah. I think that this is an army, yeah, that's just not gonna be stoppable. So Trap was producing an army based around Archon, Immortal, Zealot, Storm, Stalker, right? Which is the brute force. It's the army that you basically just walk through the lurkers with. Assuming that... You know, there's not going to be 20 of those lurkers. You can usually pull that off. And it turns out it will indeed be enough right here for the Protoss player. I hope that you enjoyed watching this series. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile. I'll see you once again in the next one.